What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Rich, back to bring you your NFL props for Week 2. Thursday Night Football did not quite go as planned, even though the Chiefs did get the victory, so we cashed that. If you took the McKinnon anytime touchdown, then that cashed as well, but Patrick Mahomes, Juju Smith-Schuster, neither one really showed up. Patrick Mahomes had a couple big plays, but overall, very disappointing from the Chiefs. You know, you expected them to get it done at home and perform at a high level, really show they're the class of that division. In my opinion, the Chargers kind of blew it. You know, that pick six, Gerald Everett not running his route, wanted to come off the field. It is what it is. The Chargers just hope that Justin Herbert is okay. But we are moving forward to the weekend slate of Week 2 and a few bets even for Monday. And we're going to be starting with a spread pick, a couple spread picks actually that I do really like for the weekend. And it starts with Miami. The Dolphins are up against the Baltimore Ravens. They are playing in Baltimore, so the Miami Dolphins are on the road. But with how banged up this secondary is for Baltimore, this is going to be a popular pick. This line is probably going to move. I expect it to be 2.5, even 2 almost by the time Sunday rolls around. The Miami Dolphins played fantastic against the Patriots, and you can say, yeah, it's the Patriots. It's not a very good team. The offense is terrible. They still played really, really well, and I think with all the speed they have outside, and even getting a little bit more done in the running game potentially this week, we may see the Miami Dolphins absolutely dominate the Ravens. The Ravens just have too many injuries, man. We don't know if their left tackle Ronnie Stanley is going to be back. We know the secondary is completely banged up. They're potentially missing 4 or 5 guys back there. The only one who's back there who's going to be really good and going to be for sure there is Marcus Williams, the guy they signed over the offseason from the New Orleans Saints. But outside of that, pretty much everybody is hurt. They already lost Kyle Fuller. Marcus Peters isn't back. Like, who knows who we're going to see out there? And when you have to guard Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, it just makes Tua Tagovailoa's job that much easier. So I will be taking the points with Miami at 3.5. This spread opened at 4.5. People have been hammering it down ever since. I think the 3.5 is a great number, and I think you guys should be taking it too. Another game I'm looking at is the Seattle Seahawks to cover 8.5 versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Seahawks are traveling to San Francisco. They are on the road, but you're giving me more than a touchdown against the 49ers, who looked absolutely terrible in Week 1. Now, yes, it was the Mud Bowl. It was in Chicago. It was on the road. Trey Lance's first game, yada, 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 yada. I get it. But at the end of the day, the Seahawks did look impressive. They did beat the Denver Broncos, a team that I think we both agree are a pretty damn good roster. Now, say what you want about the coaching decisions and the fumbles on the goal line, but Seattle hung in there, and it was a lot closer than 8.5 points. And on top of that, you're taking a San Francisco team that lost in Week 1, lost their starting running back, ran the ball okay. You know, Seattle didn't allow a ton of big plays from the Denver Broncos either, so I think they can hang in this one. And the most important thing for me is Seattle ran the ball effectively against Denver. Now, Denver isn't the best run defense, and I do expect San Francisco to be a little bit more of a challenge for them, but they're getting Kenneth Walker back, and they have Rashad Penny, who looked extremely explosive in Game 1. Geno Smith able to take care of the ball, which he did absolutely exceptional job of in the first game. I just think it's going to be a close one again. I think Seattle can hang in there, and I think 8.5 is just too many points for Trey Lance, who didn't look that great, and on top of that, there's potentially going to be more weather concerns for the 49ers in this one. So if you do take the 8.5, you're getting the Seahawks coming off a big team win against the Denver Broncos. You're taking the points, and you're getting more than a touchdown, which in my opinion is just too many points. I think San Francisco can win this game. I just don't think it's going to be crazy, especially if there is more weather concerns for them. We saw how Trey Lance looked last week in the rain. If he plays in the rain again, I expect the run game to dominate, and if that's going to happen, as much as I love Shanahan and his running offenses, I think the Seahawks do have a slight edge. I think they have better running backs. I think they showed it in Week 1 that they can run the ball effectively. It just comes down to is can they clean up the penalties and can they stay ahead of the sticks? And with Geno Smith, who did show some mobility as well, I think they can hang in this game and it can be close. And all it takes is a few mistakes from Trey Lance like we saw last week for a team like the Chicago Bears, who we all did not project to win this game, to come through with a pretty easy victory. And like I mentioned, the Bears also ran the ball pretty effectively against the 49ers. So maybe there's some possibilities there. I do like the Seahawks plus 8.5, and I do think it's a number that is worth taking. Now, the last spread that I really like is Washington, the Commanders, going to Ford Field. Yes, another road dog I'm taking. I'm taking a bunch of road dogs apparently this week. This is just what I'm feeling. But I get the hype with Detroit. I'm just not all the way there, you know. You can say that Detroit came back against Philly and they looked great and the offense was humming, but the defense still just got crushed. Now, you go back to Washington and you say, well, they played the Jaguars. Jaguars are probably the worst team in the league, but they hung in there, and more importantly, they have an experienced and talented quarterback in Carson Wentz. Say what you want about his mistakes, say what you want about him as a quarterback, but he made his mistakes. He came back, he got the job done, they won the game. And I think that's really what matters here. You see the talent they have outside. We saw something from Curtis Samuel, who we didn't expect. We saw a ton from Jahan Dotson, who caught 2 touchdowns. We saw Antonio Gibson lead the team in receiving. We know he's going to be involved in the running game. I just think there's a ton of talent for Carson Wentz at his disposal, and it's going to be too difficult for the Detroit Lions to cover all these guys. And on the defensive end, I think that the Commanders can clean things up a little bit and play a good game. Obviously, in a dome, there'll be no weather conditions, so it makes things a little bit easier there. I just think that the Commanders have a much more talented roster and can get it done. And to be dogs in this game, Detroit's been favored for the first time in like 24 games. I'm just not taking them. I'm taking the points with Washington. You do get the odd chance they lose by 1 point. You still cover the spread. So I do really like the Commanders in this matchup. Now, the next bet I'm looking at is Devontae Adams over 91.5 receiving yards. Vegas against Arizona, a team I will be targeting all year. Arizona is awful. God awful. 360 passing yards for Patrick Mahomes against them in week 1. We know that Devontae Adams got 17 targets in week 1. His grandma is going to be in attendance for the first time in his entire career. I think he's going to put on the show for grandma. I think he's good for 100 yards, and I think he's definitely good for this over 91.5. You want to bet him to score a touchdown? I don't mind that either. Again, I just think that Arizona is going to be a sieve all year until I don't know what they have to do to clean things up. I just don't believe in them, and I'm be attacking them. And I think Devontae Adams is in a great spot to smash. Over at my spar, we have him projected for like 117 receiving yards. I'm all in. I'm all in on Devontae Adams, and I'm all in on Dalvin Cook on Monday Night Football. I know the focus will be on Justin Jefferson and what he did. Now, his over-under is like 97, 98 yards. I don't know if I'm going to be going there. I'm pretty sure he's got the highest receiving yard over-under on the entire slate. But Dalvin Cook is a guy who will get his carries, and I think with the focus on Justin Jefferson and that passing game, it will open things up for Dalvin Cook. Now, again, they're playing on the road. I think that's part of a factor too. Philly, hostile environment, but a great team that you want to play against. We saw what the Lions did last week against them running the football, and it can be done effectively. And so I do believe that Dalvin Cook, as talented as he is in that Minnesota run game, mixed in with the play-action passing game, Dalvin Cook can definitely go over in this one. So I do really like him. Another guy, we have him projected at my spar for 107 rushing yards. So I do really like the over here. I think he's got a great shot of going over. Went over last week. Dalvin Cook, I would be smashing the over on his player prop. I think he's got a great shot. Now, that's it for the main card. Now, let's get into the fun bets here. One of the bets, actually, that is on the main card, but will be on the Monday night video, is the Eagles -2. They're pushed to about 2.5 now, depending on where you look. So definitely you want to take the Eagles. I did take the over early in the week when it was at like 47.5. It's now been bumped to like 51.5. Could be a very high-scoring game on Monday night, but do take the Eagles as well. So the Eagles are in a great spot. I think they probably win that game against the Vikings. But the fun bets that we're looking at first, Justin Jefferson under 98.5 receiving yards over on DK Sportsbook, I believe, is the one who has the highest number. They're all very similar, but again, 98 receiving yards it's a lot. So here's the thing with Jefferson, is that as much as I love Jefferson, as much as I bet his over last week and it hit, and it's great, he doesn't play as good outdoors as he does indoors. Why? I don't know. I can't really put my thumb on it. It's just what happens. Coming off a game where he had 180 receiving yards, I think the Eagles are probably going to be looking at him and saying, yeah, we want to try and stop that guy. So you key in on him, leave Thielen more open, leave Osborne more open, let Dalvin Cook run the ball a little bit more effectively, and that lends itself to a Jefferson under. Now, the books have his numbers sky high. Meanwhile, when you look at his actual splits, indoors he averages like 106 receiving yards per game, but outdoors he's around 60 yards per game. Now, a lot of those games that we're talking about outdoors are at Soldier Field in December, are in Green Bay in December. So how often are they really going to play that well in the cold outside? The answer is not very often. But the other big factor here, Kirk Cousins in prime time. I mean, he doesn't play too good in prime time. So maybe he'll stink it up and we'll get a Jefferson under that way. But again, this is not necessarily one that I'm loving because I love Jefferson. He's probably going to go over 100 yards again and prove me wrong, but the splits do not lie, and this number hit a lot last year. So if you do want to follow the splits and follow the data for Justin Jefferson, bet the under on 98.5 receiving yards. He averages about 63 yards or so, if I recall the splits correctly, when he is playing games outdoors, regardless of weather conditions. It's just around indoors, he's about 105. Outdoors, he's around 65, which is a very wide split and a bet you want to take later in the year for sure. So keep a look on that one. And the other one you want to look at is one of my favorite bets I make all year long. It's Mike Evans under his receiving yards. I don't know what it's going to be at. It was just reported that Chris Godwin was ruled out, and that means it is going to be the Mike Evans show against the Saints this week. Okay. For people who don't understand, Mike Evans will be matched up face-up with Marshawn Lattimore, the star cornerback for the New Orleans Saints. These two guys hate each other. Every single game, it's chippy, it's them button heads, there's penalties flying all over the place. These guys absolutely hate each other. But the reason why this is such an important bet is because Mike Evans, for his entire career versus Marshawn Lattimore, has never had more than 64 yards receiving against him. And that's, I believe, on 6 or 7 career meetings. He's never had more than 64 receiving yards. And his line on the books, I'm telling you, Prize Picks is 65.5. The books now with Chris Godwin out, it might be 70.5. Give me the under, man. There's games where he's got 14 receiving yards, games where he's got the bagel up beside his name. I'm not buying it. I am not buying into Mike Evans being the guy versus Marshawn Lattimore. He has not shown he's been able to do it for his entire career, and so I'm taking the under. Again, if you believe in Mike Evans because he's going to be the guy, and you're just like, I don't know, Jordan, I'm not so sure, that's cool with me. This is more one where I love the matchup. I love the splits. I love the competitiveness of it all. I love that Marshawn's going to come to play in this one. I like the under. I have the under. I took it already. But I will be looking for the new line when it comes up now that Chris Godwin is out. But Jefferson under, Mike Evans under. Those are for fun. Philly -2, Miami +3.5, the Seahawks +8.5, Washington +1.5, Devontae Adams over 91.5 receiving yards, Dalvin Cook over 70.5 rushing yards. Those are the bets I'm making this weekend. I hope you guys make some money this weekend, and more importantly, if you tail, give them hell, and if we fail, do not bail. I'll be back on Monday night. Hope I can draw up another undefeated Monday night. I don't know what it is with this Thursday night games. I keep calling the game script wrong. Monday, though, was a smash in week 1, so I hope we can continue that momentum into week 2. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to drop me a like and subscribe for future content. I will see you guys for Monday Night Football. Good luck this weekend, and I'm out. Peace.